Aren't alphabets amazing? What do we know about the Latin alphabet? In this video, we will talk about the relationship between spoken language and written language, about how sounds and words in different languages can be represented in different ways in writing, even in languages that use the same alphabet, such as, for example, English or German or French, Swedish, or Serbian, which all use the Latin alphabet. We will also look a little bit at different versions of the Latin alphabets that exist for different languages, and we will look at similarities and differences between them. We will finish off with a short quiz, so tune in and listen carefully. Before the writing systems such as hieroglyphs used in ancient Egypt or runes used much later by the Vikings developed, people used pictograms. These were very simple images that represented people, events, nature. They were built up to create a phrase or a sentence, so a drawing of a man with a spear followed by a picture of a wolf would represent the sentence, "The man uses a spear to hunt a wolf," like on the picture here. But these very basic pictograms had problems as a writing system. It was hard to use them to go into any detail. Think. What pictograms would be used to say, "A brave man uses a wooden spear to hunt a naughty wolf"? So, as societies developed, as their cultures and customs developed and became more and more complex, it was necessary to develop a better way of recording information. This is how different writing systems emerged to represent the everyday life of these different societies in different parts of the world. You may have learned already about the Egyptian hieroglyphs, for example, one of the oldest writing systems which is no longer in use. Or unless we want to play spies and detective games and use it as a secret script. When you look at it for the first time, so here on this picture, you may think that the writing system is entirely pictorial, but if you give it a closer detective look, you can see that it actually contains symbols for some sounds and special symbols placed next to pictures to tell a reader what kind of meaning a word has. For example, for the word mother, we have in Egyptian mut or maut or moat, and this red semicircle here stands for the sound T. Chinese writing system here, also partly based on the pictorial representation of things and concepts, as it is today, uses characters which stand for words, but also parts of words or sounds. Look how the word mother in traditional Chinese is written. It has a character for woman and a character that is a sound component of the word ma. In today's China, kids finish primary school knowing around 2,500 of these characters. Can you believe it? And how do you write the word mother using a writing system that you have learned in school? You were taught to sound words and assign characters we call letters to each sound. M, A, th, e, r. Isn't it easy? One sound, m, one letter representing that sound, m. Aren't alphabets amazing? In this specific word, we have an example of a sound th represented with two letters, T and H. So here. So, one sound, two letters. That spelling in English. We will return to that issue very soon. Now I know my ABC. Next time won't you sing with me? So, do you know where the word for your ABC, or more precisely the word alphabet, comes from? It came into English from the Latin word alphabetum, which originally came from the Greek language word alphabetos. The Greek word was made from the first two letters in Greek alphabet, so alpha and beta. Instead of several thousand pictures representing things, people, animals, actions, concepts, and parts of words, alphabets use a relatively small number of units, we often call them letters, which can be adapted to a wide range of languages. Most alphabets contain 20 to 30 symbols. The number of letters in alphabets used across the world can depend on how complex different languages' sound systems are. Urdu, on the picture, has 36 letters, and the version of Cyrillic alphabet used in today's Russia, 33. Now, let's go back to the spelling in English. We've seen that spelling the word mother is relatively easy. What about the following words, knee or high? Do all letters in these words convey the sounds we hear? What do you say? I will repeat. Knee, high. Not quite really. So how come? Well, there are languages with a bit more regular spelling, and in these ones, there is a close matching of sounds and letters. Look at and listen to some examples from different languages. We will start with Spanish. Vamos a la escuela. Then Swedish. Vi går I skolan. Then Serbian. Mi idemo u školu. And once again, but look at how what I pronounce is written. Bear in mind that the letter I in Swedish and Serbian is used to represent the sound I. Vamos a la escuela. Vi går I skolan. Mi idemo u školu. How come these written sentences match so perfectly well with what you have heard? If we wanted to match as perfectly as we can what we hear in English sentence, we go to school, the sentence could be written like this. We go to school. And we know that we had to put a lot of effort over the years to learn how to spell words in English. Remember phonics? We sounded words first. K, I, D. Kid. Easy. However, for many of the words we learned how to spell, we tried sounding first, but in the end, we had to memorize their spelling and pronunciation. So for the word people, if we sound it, it goes like this. P, E, O, P, L, E. People. Oh no, said the teacher, it's not people, it is people. So one other thing that complicates things in English for learners of its spelling rules. Just think how many ways there are to represent one sound. For example, the sound K in English. Look at the words such as cat, kit, kick, school, mosquito. In Serbian language spoken in Serbia, and the language I learned to speak first, for example, the sound K is represented only with one letter, the so-called kicking K. So we have words such as computer, cosmos, karate, kayak. The so-called curly K represents a different sound, the sound C in Serbian, circus, cement. The Serbian Latin alphabet has 30 letters, and they correspond to 30 sounds in the language. So you could say that there is a complete matching between letters and sounds, and therefore people don't need to memorize spelling of the individual words, but read them as they are written and write them as they speak them. Isn't that amazing? So, how come that sounds in English can be represented with more than one letter? For example, think of the sound E in words such as me, see, meet. And how come that in many words we encounter irregular spellings that we have to learn by heart? Think of words such as friend, or climb, or shoulder, or talk. We can find some answers in the history of the English language. The basic fact is that in the Anglo-Saxon period, an alphabet of 27 letters, the 23-letter Latin alphabet, so here, plus 4 other symbols here, had to cope with sound system of nearly 40 letters. Now, can you see which letters are missing from the old alphabet? Can you guess? Correct. So U, J, and W. They were introduced to English alphabet in the medieval times. After the Norman conquest, what did the French scribes do? They respelled a great deal of the words, introducing such conventions as QU for CW, as in Queen, GH for H, as in Knight. When people started printing books rather than writing them by hand, this caused complications too. Did you know that many early printers in England were foreign, coming especially from Holland and Belgium, and they used their own spelling norms? The Dutch typesetters felt that ghost was missing something, so they slipped in an H to make it GHOST. It was especially after printing was introduced that the writing system could not quite keep pace with the big sound changes in the language, i.e. changes in pronunciation of words. Letters that were sounded in Anglo-Saxon slowly became silent. For example, the letter K in know and night, or the final E in stone or love. In addition, in the 16th century, there was a fashion to make spelling reflect Latin or ancient Greek words. The G was added in rain, and the B in debt, from Latin debitum. And also, we have the example of people, from Latin populus, as you can see here on the slide. So these are the main reasons why the way we use Latin alphabet to write in English does not quite correspond to the way we speak English today. But hey, let's see how others have been doing. Let's see first where in the world different Latin alphabets are used. As you can see on the map, in many places in the world, there are places where exclusively Latin alphabet is used, and in some places people use more than one alphabet officially. As late as the 16th century, the Latin script was used primarily for the languages spoken in Western Europe, Northern Europe, and Central Europe, also on Iberian Peninsula, so where today's Spain and Portugal are, and in Italy. So what happened in the rest of Europe? The Orthodox Christian Slavs of Eastern and Southeastern Europe mostly used Cyrillic alphabet, and the Greek alphabet was in use by Greek speakers around the Eastern Mediterranean. The Arabic script was also very widespread both among Arabs and non-Arabs nations, like the Iranians, Indonesians, Malays, and Turkic peoples, as well as amongst Arab Christians. In the rest of Asia, people used a variety of Indic alphabets or the Chinese writing system. Since the 15th and especially 16th centuries, the Latin script got spread around the world to the North America, South America, and also parts of Africa and Asia and the Pacific. How did this happen? Well, with European colonization, along with the spread of Spanish, Portuguese, English, French, and Dutch languages across the new colonies. Do you know any other language where speakers use Latin alphabet for writing it? Think quickly, at least of 3. So possible answers could be French, Spanish, Italian, German, Dutch, Polish, Croatian. What do you think? Are these alphabets the same as the Latin alphabet used for English? As you can see on these pictures, the Latin alphabets for Swedish and Serbian are quite similar, but with some differences though. Let me read them to you. Listen to the sounds. A, B, C, Ch, Ć, D, Dž, Đ, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, Lj, M, N, Nj, O, P, R, S, Š, T, U, V, Z, Ž. Now Swedish alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, U, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z, O, Ä, Ö. And once again, but focus more on the letters this time. So Serbian alphabet first. A, B, C, Č, Ć, D, Dž, Đ, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, Lj, M, N, Nj, O, P, R, S, Š, T, U, V, Z, Ž. Now Swedish alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, U, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z, O, Ä, Ö. Now for some questions. Which letters are not there that you have in the English alphabet, in the Serbian alphabet? W, Q, X, and Y. They are not to be found in the Serbian alphabet. There are some characters that combine two letters in one in the Serbian alphabet. Look for these and let's see what you have found. Correct. It's J, L, and Nj. There are some new letters in both alphabets. Which ones are added to Swedish? It shouldn't be that difficult. So they are A with a circle pronounced, with a circle and pronounced O, A with two dots pronounced E, and O with two dots pronounced as a more rounded sound O, so Ö. You can see that people came up with this idea to modify slightly some of the letters of the Latin alphabet by adding dots, circles, and little forward or backward slashes in order to represent all the sounds that exist in that language. These signs are called diacritic signs, coming from the Greek word diakritikos, which means to distinguish. And it took alphabet reformers in many countries a long time over the centuries to figure out how to adapt an alphabet with only 26 letters to sound systems of different languages with varying number of sounds in each of them. So my next question, have a look at the Serbian alphabet and see which letters with diacritic signs are added to Serbian. A little help, there are 5 of them. Correct. They are Č, Ć, Đ, Š, and Ž. So, you have heard me pronouncing some sounds in both Serbian and Swedish, which don't exist in English. Think, for example, of Swedish ö or Serbian j. But they are more similar than different sounds in both languages. I told you that alphabet reformers in different countries struggled over centuries to perfect our alphabets. Many books are written about this. To finish off this story about the Latin alphabet in English and in other languages, I want us to look at how alphabet reformers came up with different ways of representing the same sound in different alphabets. Very creative people they were, weren't they? So let's start with the sound sh and see how the letter S has been adapted or combined with other letters to represent this sound. In German, we have, for the word ham, we have Schinken here. We can find the sound sh also in st and sp combinations in German. So in words such as Stein, the word for stone, and Spiel, the word for play. So ham in Swedish is skinka. It's one way of pronouncing this word. In some dialects it is pronounced slightly differently, but it can be pronounced as skinka. And we find the sound sh also in the word for sea or lake, sjö. Both Swedish and German are Germanic languages. Serbian is a Slavic language like Russian or Polish or Czech. But this word, Serbian word for ham specifically, was borrowed from German. So in Serbian, people say šunka for ham. English is a Germanic language too, but it uses a different word for ham, so ham. So I had to use a different word with this sound sh in it. So I used the word shed, and we find sound sh also in English words shore, national, official, chef, cautious, ocean, issue. Now, let's have a look at the sound y. In German, it is represented with the letter J, so ja for yes. Y is rarely used. It's used in loan words and place names, so yoga and Bayern. In Swedish, ja for yes, and gym for gym. So the sound y can be represented both with the letter J and the letter G when it is used in front of some vowels. There is a specific rule about that. It can this letter G can also represent the sound G, not just Y. So in Serbian we have jaje for egg, and in English the sound Y is represented with the letter Y. After you watch this video, you can try to spell some of the English words using letters or combinations of letters which represent sound sh and y, and I can give you some examples. Look at the word for shed. So shed with the Serbian sh or German SCH combination. Sharp with the Serbian sh and SCH combination, the German one. Yes, yes, and kayak. Yes for the English yes. It can be spelt with a J and G. And kayak So I used J here instead of Y. So you can try to play with this after you watched the whole video. So we've come to the end, and I really hope you have enjoyed this video. And I hope that you keep exploring different languages and their sounds, letters, and histories of alphabets and writing systems in different parts of the world. To check what you have learned, you can try to do a quiz. Your teacher will give you a sheet with 10 questions asking about facts that you have just heard. You can do it by yourself or together with your friends. Enjoy, and thank you for watching.